Welcome everybody to another episode of Lockdown 23 in 1. That's right, today as you can see we are jumping into the courtroom to speak about a man by the name of Mr. Brice Rhodes. We covered a few stories of him in the courtroom in the past, with him snapping off on the judge, probably because, he's facing life in prison and I don't think he's going to be able to duck it. But he was convicted of a triple homicide, 3 separate murders, 2 teenagers and 1 40-year-old man. But before we get into the details of the case, not to mention a clip of one of his co-defendants taking the stand. And for those y'all that don't know, a co-defendant is someone that was with you or helped you commit the crime. But more times than none, if you were to ask me, depending on the case, the prosecution will come to these co-defendants because they want to get the ringleader. The head honcho, the dude that set everything up, he needs to get smoked more than anybody else. So the prosecution's going to go to the co-defendants and say this. Look, instead of us giving you life, you go on the stand, tell us everything about this individual. We'll give you, 5 years all suspended with 2 years probation. Life versus 2 years of probation? Sign me up, Scotty. That's typically probably what people say. And that's not the real plea deal. I was just giving y'all an example. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. If you enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is exactly where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Now, like I said, I'm going to give you all some brief details on this case, alright? Even though the co-defendant's going to break everything down for y'all. It says Brice Rhodes was found guilty on all counts in the murder of 3 people, including 2 teenage brothers, Larry Ordway, 14, and Maurice Gordon, 16, who were brutally beaten and stabbed to death just because Mr. Rhodes got wind that they were snitching on him about the 40-year-old man being killed. So he wanted to clean up shop, get his loose ends out the way, make sure nobody takes the stand, took out those 2 teenagers, but committed that crime with more co-defendants that happened to be teenagers. And that's who you're going to see taking the stand today. And it's a long clip. He goes into high detail about everything that happened. So I might not play the whole thing, but I just want y'all to get an idea of what typically happens in these type of situations. All right, here we go.
Have a seat.
Good afternoon. Can you introduce yourself to the jury?
What was that?
And how old are you, Anna?
22.
Where do you live these days?
For the deals.
What?
And were you here in town in 2016?
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing.
I understand if you could just speak just a little bit louder.
And that's, may I approach, Your Honor?
You may, yeah, you want to move the microphone. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
Yeah, put that thing right on his freaking lips. Can't hear nothing.
So, you know what we're here to discuss. Let's talk a little bit about how you know different people here. How do you know Jacory?
Good.
And were you all very close?
Yes.
What sorts of things would you do with Jacory when you were here?
So we used to hang out. We used to go find different females to hang out with.
Anything else y'all do together?
We used to
I'm sorry, you gotta
What?
speak up so they can hear you.
hang out. We used to hang out. We used to smoke. We used to
I
play
still
basketball.
can't hear you, and if I can't hear you, no one else can.
No plea deal if we can't hear you,
We
bro.
used to play sports. We used to find different females to hook up with.
And did you all grow up together? Did you know him for a long time?
Yes.
And what was his life like?
Yeah. He was homeless for a while.
And so, as a result of his homelessness, how would he get by? What sorts of things would he do?
So we used to steal out of people's cars. We used to sleep over at a friend's house.
And what about you? Did you have people to live with here in town?
Yes.
So how old were you in 2016?
15.
When you were 15, do you remember how much you weighed or how tall you were?
I was about 120 pounds.
So how did you meet Larry?
At school.
And did you meet Maurice at school as well?
Yes.
And did you become, what was your relationship with them?
Really the same as Corey. We used to go link up with different females. We used to hang out.
Was there any
So those two individuals, he's saying they used to link up with the females, hang out, do their thing, eventually end up killing them. You can't trust nobody around these days. You never know how things are going to turn out.
anybody in town that you were closer to than the three of them? And do you recognize Mr. Rhodes in the courtroom?
Yes.
And what did he go by as far as you know?
Rambo.
And how did you meet Rambo?
Rambo.
Brice Rhodes.
And before we get to,
Judge, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that response.
Can you
Either.
repeat that, please?
Through Maurice and Larry.
how long,
So Maurice and Larry is the 14 and 16-year-old that was killed by the hands of Mr. Rhodes and this individual. Even though he's taking a stand, don't matter, he took place in the crime as well. But he met Rhodes through those two teenagers that died. Man, how the tables can turn.
when we get into May of 2016, how long had you known Rambo for?
Couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, month.
And I hate to pause it, but just so that nobody's lost here, Rhodes is Rambo. That was his nickname.
So how many times had you met him before the night of the first shooting?
I don't know. A couple.
So tell the jury, how did the idea of a shooting happen?
We was in somebody's backyard. We was all smoking.
And I must slow down a little bit. Who's we?
Me, Corey, him, Maurice and Larry.
Okay. And what happened?
We was all smoking. He said that somebody got some money in their head and we just need a gun.
That's what Brice said.
We need a gun.
And just to spell it out, what does that mean? They have a price on their head and we just need a gun.
Somebody, we get paid to kill somebody. We just need a gun.
Now, at this time, do you know approximately how old Rambo was? Was he older than you guys?
Yeah, he's way older than us.
I'm sorry?
He's way older than us.
Yeah. Was he bigger than you all?
Yes.
Was he the one that was coming up with the ideas?
Yeah.
So, how old
Judge,
were...
objection, that calls for speculation.
I'll allow it. Overruled.
How old were Maurice and Larry then? Do you know?
Like 15, around my age.
Okay. So when he first proposes this idea to you all, do you think he was serious?
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide that he was serious?
The night we actually did it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. When what?
The night we actually did it.
Thank you.
So, how was a gun acquired?
Corey bought the gun.
And when Corey bought the gun, did he know did everybody know what the purpose for the gun was, or was it just a coincidence?
Everybody knew what it was for.
All right. Had you ever done anything like this before?
Mm-mm.
Were you nervous about it? Well, what was your feeling about this?
I wish I wanted to get paid, but then I'm on the fence. It could have went either way, either or.
At that time, what did you think would have happened if you would have backed out? Did you think about that? Okay. So,
Judge, was there a response to that question?
I did.
You nodded your head no, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So the day in May, you all get together. How did you first get in touch with the group that day?
We had like me and Corey. He had went over his grandmother's house. While my Maurice and Larry, they was at home. So then when we was gonna get dropped back off over Maurice and Larry's house, they was already gone.
Okay. How did you get around in those days?
Yeah. We used to walk, we used to catch rides, people used to drop us off, bikes, everything.
And at that time, did Rambo have a car?
Yeah.
Did you have a car?
I ain't have a car of my own.
So who was it that drove you around that night?
Q,
Q. And how do you know Q?
Q's Corey cousin.
So and we're talking about two incidents, so it's easy to get confused. Talking about the first incident, there was a night where you had a truck, the night of the hit, right?
Yes, yeah. I had stole a truck.
And that was that in order to carry this out, or you were just driving a stolen truck at the time?
I just had a stolen truck.
Okay. So what was the plan for that night?
At night we was supposed to we was in the backyard again. And you feel me? We all linked up. And you feel me? We went from the south to the west. And you feel me?
And how did you all know where to go?
I was just following behind.
Okay. So you're following a car. What's the car that you're following?
It's a light blue Mazda, I think.
Okay. And who was in that car?
Larry, Maurice, Brice, and Corey.
And where was everybody seated in the car?
So Maurice is driving. Larry in the passenger seat. Brice in the behind Maurice, and Corey on the other side.
And who had the gun?
Brice.
And who knew who the target was?
Judge, speculate, call for
Right.
speculation. Judge.
I'm going
Overruled.
to sustain that.
Ooh, sustained.
How did you all know where to go?
I was just following behind.
So how long did you all drive around?
Let me just say this, all right? If I was an attorney, I wouldn't be all over the place kind of like this guy is. It seems as though he's getting a little lost himself trying to get the right answers or questions out to these guys. Because it's kind of jumping around everywhere, you know, a little bit, to me at least. 30,
45 minutes.
And did anything eventful happen during that time? So
Besides murder.
besides what?
Besides murder. Besides somebody getting shot.
Yeah. Okay. So you're driving along.
Man, I don't know, but did he just give a little bit of a smirk when he said besides murder? Almost like it was kind of a joke.
Did anything eventful happen during that time? So
Besides murder.
besides what?
Besides murder. Besides somebody getting shot.
Yeah. Okay. So you're driving along.
Mm-hmm.
The car in front of you stops around 41st Street.
Something like that.
Stops somewhere in that area.
Judge, may we approach?
Sure.
Just let the guy tell the story. That's it. You ain't got to ask me questions. Just let him tell the story and how it played out. If you're asking me the way that he's asking so many questions, it's almost as though he's leading them into anything and everything. Right? I don't know about this money here, but yeah, move that mic closer to his lips. That'll help. I guess I'll help a little bit.
Does the car in front of you stop?
Yeah, stop at the end of the block.
And what happens?
Shit. I heard somebody say, "You got the street, bitch."
And
What?
I'm sorry, but we got to have you enunciate clearly so everybody can hear. What was it that happened?
And I heard somebody say, "You got the street," and the shot went off.
Who was the somebody that said that?
Brice.
Could you see Brice at that time?
I didn't see him, but I knew where he was positioned.
Hmm.
Sorry, please repeat.
I didn't see him, but I knew where he was positioned at.
And you heard or saw the gun go off?
I saw it.
Was it inside of the car or outside of the car?
It's like his arm was dangling out the car.
And who was he shooting at?
Somebody in the street.
Had you ever seen that person before?
No,
Did you know anything about that person?
no,
Did that person talk or engage anybody?
that I know of.
Was he facing the car or facing away from the car?
His face in the car.
And after the gunshot, what happened?
Shit, we peeled off. Then we had like 5 to 8 houses down, and he shot at somebody's house.
So he shot the gun more?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Just driving.
You just continued to follow? And where did you go that night?
So went back to Maurice and Larry's house.
Was everybody at Maurice and Larry's?
All right, so I believe they're speaking about the killing of the 40-year-old man. Someone put a price on his head, so they went and got a gun, handled the job. Turns out it was the wrong person, right? So I guess they didn't get paid. But now Brice has to worry about everybody dropping dime.
Do people talk about the shooting?
No,
Why not?
that ain't how I talk. That ain't how I get my problems up. That ain't how I express my problems.
So you don't talk about stuff like that after it happens?
Just let it go.
Why do you not talk about it?
Just let it go. Just
Did you expect to get something as a result of participating in this?
yeah, I wanted some money.
And how was that supposed to happen?
So you're supposed to break us off,
And who was supposed to break it off?
right?
How was that going to happen?
We didn't get that far. I just knew he's supposed to break us off. Supposed to get the gun. He's supposed to break us off.
And when you say break us off, you mean share the money.
Share the money.
So did he end up giving anybody any money as a result of that?
No,
And how do people feel about that? How did you feel about that?
shit didn't really care.
You didn't care that you didn't get paid?
So I didn't think he got paid. So
Were other people upset about not getting paid?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
If you know, you can answer that.
I don't know.
Okay. What did you end up doing with did you do anything with your truck that night?
We burned it.
And why did you burn it?
Shit, he said in case it was on like camera or something,
And who's he?
right?
And so how did you burn the truck?
We put gas in it. Lit it on fire.
Something
Were you
about
ever around? There was a phone call that you overheard between the boy's mom and the defendant, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
And you could hear. What could you hear? Where were you?
Shit was over. We was over.
Objection, hearsay.
What was the
I'm
question?
asking where he was when he overheard this phone
What
call.
did you overhear?
Okay, don't say what somebody else said. If you want to re-ask the question.
Did you overhear
Who was-
anybody say
Who was
anything?
talking on the phone?
Shit, it was Larry and Maurice's mama and Brice.
It was who and Brice?
Larry and Maurice's mama.
Larry and Maurice's mother? Okay, thank you.
And what was the tone of the conversation?
It was about the shooting.
And when did this conversation happen?
Yeah. Whenever Maurice had told her about it.
Was she angry?
Objection.
You don't want to come up?
Hey, y'all need to get y'all stuff together here. So many objections and stuff going on, man. The guy just needs the attorney just needs a word. The question's right. Keep saying, did she say that? You can't say that. You say, did you hear, or what was your thoughts on this about her or conversation? You know, say something like that along those lines. I don't know. Hey, homeboy thinks he probably has this one in the hat, the way he brushing off his shoulder.
All right, so now let's jump forward to the night that you were talking about on the 24th.
Dude, you're
So-
dropping the ball, bro.
On the 21st, late night.
21st now.
How were you traveling around that night? The truck's been burnt. How were you traveling around?
Getting dropped off.
Okay, and so who was dropping you off? And
On the 21st, I don't remember.
okay. Earlier, when we were confused about which night we were talking about, you said that Q was driving you around.
Yeah.
So that's the night that we're talking about.
Okay, yeah, Q dropped me off.
Okay. So Q is dropping you off. Who's with you?
Me and Corey.
And where does Q drop you off at?
Dropped us off over his house.
At Brice Rhodes' house. Had you been anywhere together before his house?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to?
First, when the Maurice and Larry's house, they was already gone.
How did you know they were gone?
Shit, we walked in the house.
And they
It was already gone.
weren't there.
So we called them.
Okay. So where'd you guys get dropped off at?
Over his house.
Over at his house? Had you been to his house before?
Yeah.
Who else? What time of day or night is it?
Shit, it's nighttime.
Nighttime? Who's at the house?
Shit. It's what? Larry, Maurice, me, Corey, him, and like 3 other people.
All right. Who are the other folks that are there?
Shit. I don't know. Tyron.
Okay.
I don't know.
Had you've explained the people that you know that were there. Had you met Tyron before?
For that night.
Just then. And there was another person there that you didn't know?
Yeah.
And you don't know who they are now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me what was going on that night?
Shit, we was all smoking, drinking. And then you feel me? Larry and Maurice got into an argument. Not Larry and Maurice, but Larry and Corey got into an argument.
Was it common for people to get into arguments when you all were hanging out?
Yeah.
And what happened with this argument?
Shit. Maurice grabbed a knife.
Okay. So Maurice picked up a knife. Did he wave it at Corey?
Yeah, I ain't gonna say he waved at him. But shit, he picked it up in an aggressive manner.
And what happened next?
We took it from him and he smacked him.
When you say he, do you mean Brice Rhodes?
Brice took it from him and he smacked him.
how did he take a knife from him?
He wasn't gonna do that with the knife anyways.
And what, can you describe the knife?
It was like a big combat knife.
And what did Brice do after he took the knife?
He's like he gonna violate him.
Okay. Brice is going to violate Maurice. And can you explain in general terms, what does it mean to violate somebody? What's that term mean?
It really means like inflict pain. Like he could have just hit him in the chest. He could have did a range of things.
It's like a disciplining of the person.
Yeah.
So did that alarm Maurice? How did Maurice respond?
He was gonna go with it. He thought it was just gonna be a punch in the chest.
And why would he go along with it?
That's his big homie.
I'm sorry?
That's his big homie.
So is there a time where you,
I just want to make sure I understood. Did you say because he's
May we
big?
approach?
Yes.
Now, it sounded like these young cats were trying to be a part of some kind of gang organization with Mr. Rhodes being the elderly person. He's probably like the OG to them. Big homie, right? Bringing them into the gang or whatever. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about gang activities in this story yet from what I read. But that's what it sounded like. And many of us know already that, a lot of young cats are definitely convinced and influenced to join these things, man, by some big older individual. Like a father type, but for the streets. They're probably trying to figure out how they're going to handle this whole big homie and violation type thing that they brought up. That's a whole other web of mysteries. Try to break down in the courtroom, at least. But who knows? Maybe it's not like a gang like we might think.
All right.
You know what I mean?
So is there a time where people in the house separate from Maurice?
Yeah. We put both of them in the bathroom and we took a vote.
Both who?
Larry and Maurice.
They're in the bathroom. And where are you guys?
In the living room.
And what happens in the living room?
We took a vote.
What's this vote on?
If they should die or not.
If they should die or not? Who's calling the vote?
Brice.
What was your vote?
I'm the one that said no. Everybody else said yeah.
And did your vote win? Did your vote win? Did you think about what would have happened to you if you tried to leave at that point in time?
I ain't had nowhere to go. He lived too far out.
So what happens after the vote's taken? What happens to Maurice?
He put a sock in his mouth, tied his hands behind his back, and put a hat over his head.
And where did he do this?
In the living room.
And what happened after that?
He started hitting him in the chest at first.
With an item, with his fist? How was he hitting him?
We hit him in the chest with a fist first, hit him like 3-4 times. And then Tyron passed him the knife. Then he started stabbing him.
How long did this go on for?
Until he stopped breathing.
Now these guys are your best friends, right?
Yeah.
What's running through your mind?
Make sure I get out.
What's that?
I gotta make sure I get out. Try to save somebody else. Make sure I'm safe. Probably if I ain't go along with it.
What would happen?
Probably been with him. Probably same situation, same fate.
All right. So they bring Larry out of the bathroom. Does he have? When does he get the sock?
He already been like he had the belt, he had a hat, he got the sock. He had the sock when it was his turn.
Okay, when you say he had the belt, what do you mean?
His hands was already tied behind his back. He had a hat over his eyes, so he couldn't see.
And he had a sock in his mouth.
He got the sock when it was his turn.
Did he know what had happened to his brother?
No,
So how many times did he get stabbed?
I don't know. A lot.
Who was stabbing him?
He stabbed him till he was dead.
Brice did.
Then he passed the knife around.
Who did he pass the knife to?
He passed it to me.
Why'd he pass you the knife? They're both dead, right?
Yeah, both dead, but we all, he said, so we all gonna be in it. So it's on all of us now.
So you would participate?
Yeah.
So what did you have to do with the knife?
I had to stab him
How many times did you stab Larry?
like 3.
What'd you do with the knife?
So I passed it back to him.
What'd he do with the knife?
Passed it to somebody else.
Who was the knife?
Okay, so there's just I look at body language sometimes when this stuff is going on, and he's had eye contact with Brice, the attorney, prosecutor, whatever, straight eye contact with him. Maybe not locked eyes, but he's looking right at him until he starts talking about what he had to do. He's looking straight down the whole time. I'm not a body expert. I don't know exactly what that can mean, but it's just something that I noticed. Maybe there's an expert in the comment section that could give us a couple cents.
Where was Jacory?
Corey was right there with him. Corey's in there.
Was Jacory handed the knife?
Yeah.
Before or after they were both dead?
After.
Now, like I said, this was an extremely long clip, and it was actually like part 1, I believe. I'll leave links in the comments section so you can read more about the ending to all this. But Mr. Rhodes was convicted, of course, and he's due to be sentenced this spring. But I will say this, that in the courtroom, his defense team said that, these guys are pretty much just saying all this stuff on the stand because they got a sweetheart plea deal. That's how the game is played. You heard what he said, the guy that was on the stand. He said that he was only worrying about his own safety. He didn't want these guys doing the same thing that they did to the brothers to him. And look at him now. He's doing the same thing in the courtroom, only worrying about his own safety. So that's how the game goes. There's no honor amongst thieves. And if you think there is, man, you are sadly mistaken. Sooner or later, you're going to be in a situation like this, and you're going to see it firsthand. If you all get caught up, chances are you're not all going to be going to lock up. Probably just you. And just to close this out, my condolences, of course, go out to the family members of the loved ones lost. Very, very sad story. And the way that he broke it down on how everything happened, treacherous. But hopefully someone learned something from this episode today. And let me know how you feel about the whole green screen. I don't bring it around too much, but if it's a little bit better of a fit for y'all, let me know. Until the next time, though, stay tuned. I got plenty more content coming your way. And as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.